Hey guys, Brian from Richard Paintball again today, and I just did another video about this guy, which is the G-force sensor, shock sensor for the Virtue Spire. And you may or may not have followed me from my other videos where I talked about, or my PB Nation thread where I talked about the Virtue Spire and the issue I was having with the thing constantly pulsating. And, you know, I could refer you to that thread or the other videos before you comment on this one saying, oh, you know, you need to change your batteries. You need to change this setting. You need to do that setting. Trust me, we did all of that. We went to Virtue. I've talked to people from Virtue. I got to know people from Virtue. I visited them at the booth at NPPL years ago. And what you need to know is they solved my problem by essentially they sent me a new tray and it fixed it. But first they sent me a board. We played with settings, we played with batteries, we did all that stuff. And these batteries in here right now are weak, and because I haven't messed with this for a while. But so you'll see when it turns on, it'll be red. You'll be like, oh, your battery's low, dork, you know. And it's like, yeah, I know that. But that wasn't the issue. So what was the issue was you would turn it on, and even though it was full of paint, you would turn on, and when it's full of paint, it's supposed to know that you have paint in here and feel that the resistance and stop like this. So, but what was happening with this one is, I think this sensor was faulty, and it was registering, you know, that the gun was, you know, firing or something. And see, that's how it's supposed to work. But then it's supposed to stop when it feels paint like that. And this may not fix the issue, but, you know, for 10 bucks or whatever this thing was from Paintball Gateway. By the way, Paintball Gateway sells every part on here, which is great. So if you have any issues with your Spire, you can go to them and get any part you need. So basically I got that. I'm going to see if that fixes it, because basically this was just sitting in a box from the new tray that Virtue sent me, because it solved my problem and I didn't have to do anything else. So I decided to see, you know, for very little money, see if I could get it working. I've got other shells. I've got this other 260 shell, but I think I got used or something. And so I did that. And so basically what you do is, if you ever need to replace this, since I've done a video on replacing pretty much everything else, the board, you clip your little, where did they go? Clip these little zip ties, get yourself some new ones. And I can't find mine right now because I'm tearing my garage apart, but, and remodeling it, but, you know, making it more easy to use as a studio and a shop and everything else. So this, but we've got clips here, and you basically just cut those off, you know, just use something small, be careful. You know, and I just took those off, and I'll put them back on. And basically, you remove these two screws. This is just a cover that kind of guides the wires, which I think is pretty smart, actually. And so there's one screw here for your battery tray. Turn this off. There's one screw here for your battery tray. Even though there's two screw holes, but there's only one screw. So it's another screw hole right there. But basically, that one screw hole, and then there's a hole in this strap, and the strap just wraps around the back. So there's a hole in the strap, screw goes through there, holds the battery tray and this little strap on. And then, and I know I just said strap on. Anyway, so this shock sensor on the wires come back, and actually, I should probably run these. Oh, they come out the side. So the battery harness thing, they come out the side. I was looking at it thinking maybe I pinched them and they should be going underneath, but they come out of the side. So anyway, they kind of go through this little feed, this little hook that's on the side here, and I'll just kind of tuck them back in, pushing them back in with the screwdriver very gently. You don't want to break or clip these wires at all. So anyway, that should hold them out of the way of everything. Not that there's no moving parts underneath here at all. Everything's contained. So anyway, you rerun this, and it's the whole thing. So it goes this way, and it just slides in. There's no screw holding it in. There's nothing. So it's just kind of held in by tension from this kind of squishy foam on the side. It says sensor assembly do not open. So haven't opened it. It just slides right in there. Rerun your wire, plug it in, cover everything back up, run all your wires, and you know, before you put it in, turn it on. Of course, it helps if you have batteries, but you put batteries in, turn on, and it works just fine. But I thought while I was doing that too, it's a long way of getting to the spring ramp. If you don't know about the spring ramp, this did not come originally with the Spire. But you can tell that they kind of either meant it to, like it was manufactured for it and it wasn't ready in time or something, because all of the Spires have these two holes in it, and you can see those holes do nothing for this thing. So your spring ramp has just a little tiny metal spring in here with a little arm that sticks down. So you kind of push down on that arm and then guide your spring ramp towards these two slots. That's really what they are. And kind of guide them down, and that's it. It just pops right in. And so this is, you know, this was my only complaint with the Spire. Once, you know, my Spire was working as expected. If you tilt your hopper down like this with the normal Spire tray with no spring ramp, you could get paint in the nose that isn't going to feed. So the spring ramp, as you shoot paint out of your hopper, will come up, and it just kind of encourages those last few paintballs to kind of guide back down into the tray. So we've done that, and then that goes, drops right back into your shell here, and I know it's dirty. Normally, there you go. So, and if I had batteries in there, it would work, but where did my batteries go? I dropped like 2 of them down here. Dropping them all over everything. And there's a third one around here somewhere, or was. Where did that one go? Anyway, you've all seen the Spire come on before, so I'm sure you know what it looks like. Trust me, it works, and I'm gonna test it some more and see. By the way, I love the 260 shell. Love the spring fingered speed feed. Works outstanding. They get out of your way when you're pouring paint in, but they just, like, even when I try to pull my finger out, look, it's like a Chinese finger trap. Just, you know, wants to grab onto it. So gets out of the way of your paint better than any other speed feed really that I've used, and I've used all of them on multiple hoppers, rotors, you know, Z2s, Halos, everything. Pinocchios. You should see my full hopper video. You know, and I need to update that with maybe a couple of the newer hoppers that have come out in last couple years. But that's the Spire 260 with spring ramp, and you know, I can understand. I live in Southern California. You know, but I started playing paintball. God, and I don't even want to tell you when, but when paintball started back in New Hampshire, and you know, back there or in other places where you get rain or snow, yeah, I understand why you wouldn't want a speed feed, because it's too open. You get junk in there. But here in California, for the most part, we get no rain. That's why we're in a historic drought, and you know, it's not a big deal. So, but I also like just these are my favorite loaders. If you haven't guessed that already, even though I had, you know, issues, but Virtue took care of me. They'll take care of you if you have it. I've given you some videos on how you can service these things or fix these things if needed, and they just work really great. They're, you know, very sturdy construction. I've dropped these. I've banged them around. They work really well. I haven't really had to do anything to it. The only thing I think is with like the Lux, you really got to crank down that feed neck to get it to stay. And some people put a little piece of tape on it. That's like an old paintball trick. That's the only issue I've really run into, other than initially that spring ramp thing solves that one, and the other issue that Virtue took care of. But that's the Virtue Spire and the Virtue Spire 260 and the shock sensor and the spring ramp and the speed feed all in one tabletop right there. So I'll do some more shooting video with this and see if replacing that sensor was the last and final thing that maybe I could have replaced on that thing to get it to work. But like I said, so it's not a knock against Virtue at all, because they took care of me. They gave me a whole new tray. And you can see on Paintball Gateway exactly how much they'll charge you for the whole tray. I mean, it's, you know, you're better off buying a whole new hopper practically. You know, you couldn't build one from parts for less than, you know, but you could fix one, certainly, for less than you could buy a new one. So love this one. Love some of the new colors on the Spire 260, like limited edition, like the purple one. Oh, really like that. That would look really good on the Lux that I picked up not long ago. So anyway, that's that, and I've said that a couple of times, but you know me, I just can't stop talking for some reason a lot of times. Too much coffee, so don't drink that, because I had that and like a double espresso, and that's probably the problem. Anyway, there you go, guys. Thanks a lot. Bye.